physically his body was here, even though he was gone. That was warm and comforting to me too, because that right there is my brother. That was my baby.
Yeah.
I'm like sunshine.
All right, Dwayne, well, appreciate you having me here. Thank you very much. Yes, I met Dwayne when I was working in the organ procurement organization. I still currently am, a person who actually approaches families about organ donation and educating them, informing them about the option of the donated loved one's organs so that loved one can help save lives and live on through other people and leave a legacy. And so we met that way, and we've kept the relationship ever since. A beautiful relationship, friendly relationship, and so just wanted to say, thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Your brother has left a legacy and has saved lives. And I just have some questions about it. When it comes to the organ donation, there's a lot of questions that people have, and a lot of education that's needed. One important fact is that yes, your brother did commit suicide, and
correct,
and he did it in a way where he was able the emergency services did everything they could to save his life. They did get him to a very great hospital. They got him to the emergency room. They stabilized him. They got him to the ICU, and they tried their hardest, the best, to save his life. But unfortunately, he had a really severe brain injury that wasn't sustainable with life. But the artificial support kept his body going, which coincidentally, by coincidence, maintains this option of saving lives through organ donation. And so, just out of curiosity, the first question I have for you, Dwayne, is how did you first react when you heard about your brother being hospitalized?
I was at work, and my mom had called me, and I stepped outside, and I called her back, and she explained to me that something had happened to my brother. And I didn't know, of course I didn't know what had happened. And I said, well, Mom, what happened? And she said, call this number and speak to the lady. And when I called the lady, the nurse that was there, she explained to me that my brother had jumped from a ledge, 40 feet ledge. I don't want to give the location because I can say it was in Fremont, and I don't want to give the location because I don't want no one else to do it.
Right.
So they said that he tried to I knew when she told me that he had purposely jumped. I said he tried to commit suicide, and I was shocked. Shocked in a way that this was the second person in my family that committed suicide, because in 92 my father also committed suicide. And my brother looked, talked, walked, sound just like my father, same name. I was shocked, hurt. I had the fear, but I had hope because she said that they was able to stabilize him.
Yes.
So that was my first feeling toward it. So I asked her a few questions calmly so I can get the full story. And that's where the hope came in at, because she said there's a possibility he can pull through. So that was my immediate reaction.
You arrived to the hospital, right?
Correct.
And you met with the doctors, the medical team.
And that's when I met with you.
And before you met with me, the medical team, they gave you a poor prognosis, right?
Yes, they did.
And just can you share with us how that was for you and what you remember, what you recall? And
yes, the guy, I can't remember, start with an S. He was like the nurse there or something. I walked into ICU, and I told them prior to me going up there that I did not want to see my brother in this condition. I couldn't take it, because my father was in one situation. My brother, to me, was a baby. Even I was 19 years older than him, so that was like my first child. So I said, I don't want to see him.
Okay.
I said, if you guys have him wrapped up or what have you, because I didn't know, I knew the severity, but I couldn't visualize it.
Right.
I said I didn't want to see him, and I walked up there, and I was waiting. They said he was in room 103. I remember specifically, and they said, okay, we'll accommodate you on that. I walked into ICU. To the left was room 103. the door was halfway shut, I was relieved because I just couldn't see him.
Right.
And I went up to a table, and they told me, could you hold on for a second, because they had someone ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time I was there, it was like a incubator room. It was like a plexiglass right behind the office. So I'm sitting there for about maybe 10 minutes, and I'm looking, I'm like, wow, whoever this guy is, you could tell that he wasn't naturally fat. I said, this guy's swole. I could just tell. So when they finally came to me, they said, you're Dwayne? I said, who are you here for? I said, I'm here for Lee Adams. That's my brother. I'm Dwayne Adams. They said, oh, yes, he's right here. I said, right where? They said, this is him in this room. And I broke down. Because the whole time I was watching him, and I didn't know it was him.
Right.
And I did not want to see him.
Right, yeah.
You could tell he was swollen through the covers and his face and everything. And I mean, I have to be blunt about it, because that's what we're here to do, to talk about it. And I broke down.
Yeah.
And I said, I explained to you guys I didn't want to see him, but I wasn't mad. They're trying to save my brother, so I can't get mad.
Yeah.
And they went on, they explained the situation. They said, I understand you don't want to see him. You know, I understand the situation you had with your father, and now your brother. I wouldn't want to see my brother either.
Yeah.
So I peeked in there and already accepted the fact that he was gone, because they had told me they had gave him so many surgeries and there was nothing they could do to save him.
Okay.
So they explained to me his injuries, and they said, and then that's when you came in to the picture. But what them telling me about his injuries and everything, his femur, everything was damaged, and the brain damage, I just couldn't see my brother. And then they did tell me, they said that we'll give him one more surgery, and they said if it's successful, that he still will never be a part of this world. And that's when I had to accept the fact that the little bro was gone.
Okay.
And that's the conclusion I came to. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing the fact that you did not want to see him.
Yes.
Thank you for saying that there's a lot of different ways that people actually deal with trauma.
Correct.
You are dealing with previous trauma that you had.
Exactly.
And it's good that you share that to let people know it's okay.
Absolutely.
Everyone deals with different situations differently.
Absolutely.
You know, traumas differently. They have different traumas in life.
Right.
And if you don't want to see anybody, that's okay as well.
Exactly.
There's some people who don't want to. There's some people who want to see everything for themselves.
Exactly.
And that's okay too.
Exactly.
So thank you for sharing that. And,
Sure.
and also thank you for sharing how you came to the acceptance
Yes.
of your brother's passing. And how you knew he wouldn't survive,
Right.
How you understood, how you trusted that they did everything to save him, to help him.
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that.
And let me add that prior to me going up there, the nurse and the doctor stayed in contact with me constantly. I was receiving phone calls after phone call while I was at work, because I continued to work.
Okay.
It was the best for me.
Yeah.
And they said, well, this is the condition. This is what's going on. We did this procedure. This is what's happening. So that was comfort itself.
Okay.
And I started accepting as we went along, because my hopes were very high at the beginning. But as we went along and they went to explaining the process and what was going on, I started to understand.
Okay.
And I started accepting it can go anyway.
Right.
Yes.
So then, yes, we met after that, and of course, I was as respectful as possible.
Of course.
I knew it was a tough situation.
You
and
called
a
me.
very difficult, situation. I called you.
Right.
And you had left the hospital, so I needed to call you to
Right.
hopefully have you come back and speak to you about organization in person.
Sure.
You didn't want to do it over the phone. It seemed so insensitive to do
Right.
it that way.
Exactly.
I have done it that way, and sometimes that's the only choice or option we have.
Right.
But I did call you, and you were willing to come back, and
Yes.
you were willing to come back and meet with me privately,
Right.
and I was able to show you the way the donation process happens, and how
Exactly.
your brother could be a hero and save lives,
Right.
and explain and educate you, and inform you, and empower you with that information.
Right.
And you're very open. You're very
Yes.
open to it, and I appreciate you being very open to
Right.
at that at the time.
Correct.
I thought you were very open. I wasn't sure what was going on in your mind,
Right,
right?
right, exactly,
But you were
exactly.
listening to me, and you were taking it in. And I
Yes.
felt that, and
Yes.
so that's where we met.
Exactly.
And so can you explain how obtaining that information at that time and point in your life was for you?
Well, in terms of donating his organs?
Yeah, mhm.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I want people to know this, is that I greatly appreciate you. I will always have love for you like a family member.
Oh, thank you.
You called me, and you were very professional. I could just tell through the texture of your voice that you was very professional. You said you had asked me about it, and the first thing I said was no. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And that comes from somewhat of the culture.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not donating no organs. We're not giving them. Leave my loved one alone. In my situation, was leave my brother alone. He's deceased, and you're not going to cut. You're not going to do anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
all these things are running through my mind.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, exactly. But you were very professional, professionally spoken, soft spoken about it. You wasn't aggressive. I didn't feel like you was trying to trick me or anything. And I said no. Then I said, hey, you know what? I said, you said, well, listen, if you change your mind, if you want to speak to me about it, that's what got me. You said, here's my number, and I understand, I respect that. And I felt bad. I said, maybe I was too strong or too rude, but yet this guy's being professional, and I can't take my feelings out on someone else. No one killed my brother. He committed suicide. So
Right.
at that time, I was getting into my giving mode.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, my mind started roaming, where I thought back about the way my father and mother raised me, what my brother truly stood for, because I didn't want this to be his outfit as far as the way he died.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, you know what? I have to make a contribution. Because he was only 31.
Yeah, real young.
Very young, very healthy.
Yeah, very healthy.
And if he was alive, he would probably be happy if I said he was a good-looking guy. And he always let me know he was the better-looking one. I agree with you. And I said to myself, I have to make a contribution, and I have to have my brother make a contribution to this, to society. And immediately, when we hung up, I called my older sister. And I said, sis, he's not going to make it. And I said that, because she was I believe she was in Mississippi at the time. Mm-hmm. I said, they talked to me about donating his organs. And I said, I talked to a guy. I said, I don't know what he looked like, but I said, the guy sounds professional and very nice. And I said, I don't think that. She said, bro. She said, do it. She said, that's the way you feel, do it. Mm-hmm. And it was funny. I went to his Facebook and I read a little poem where he said something about he would be better off if he wasn't here, and he would be able to donate his ashes that could benefit other people. Mm-hmm. And because of you, my sister, and that writing from him, I said, you know what? We're going to do it. And I've called you back.
Yeah.
And I said, can I speak to him? He said, this is him. I said, Melvin, when do you need to see me? You said, when can you come out here? I said, I can come out. It was on a Sunday. I said, I'll be out there on this day, because it was on the 9th, because he jumped the ledge on July the 3rd, and they pronounced him deceased July the 8th. Mm-hmm. So that July the 8th was a Friday, I believe. So maybe it was July the 10th when I came out there. So after I spoke to you, I spoke to my sister, and I thought hard on it, and I put my feelings aside. I said, if this is going to save someone else. And I wasn't too familiar with the, donating organs. I wasn't familiar with that or anything. And
a lot of people aren't.
No, we don't want to think about it.
Yeah, nobody wants to think about it.
And I said, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have no second thoughts after doing it. I was like, that's it. I'm going to do it. And my father, when he committed suicide as well in '92. Mm-hmm. We didn't. I mean, of course, he was 58 years old, so that was a different situation. Yeah. But this was a combination of that, and I said, I need to make this contribution. And it's not for me or anything. It was for what I think my brother would want.
Well, yeah.
And then when you, like I said, when you said what you said and the way you spoke to me, and my older sisters, that's my boss, by her saying, go for it, little bro, I said, I'm doing the right thing. Yeah. So that's.
Then we called your mother.
Absolutely. We was in the hospital.
We were in the hospital by that time.
And she was in the hospital because she's bedridden.
Oh, yeah, she's bedridden, yeah.
She was in the hospital at that time because my cousin had flew out to tell my mom that he committed suicide. Because that was going to be because my mom kept asking me questions. Yeah. And the sad thing about that, the cousin, LaToya, I love you, rest in peace, she passed away.
Oh, wow.
She flew out there. She said, cuz, I'm on the airplane. Because my mom was in, I want to say, Louisiana at the time. Okay. No, she was in Texas. Okay. And my cousin was in Louisiana. She flew out there, and she told my mom. My mom called me, and we spoke about it. And I didn't tell her I was going to donate the organs. I just left it there.
Right, yeah.
And that's that story in that.
Yeah.
So, so when I got there, we did call my mom, is she okay?
Yeah, at that time, and she was also on board.
Yeah, she was on board. She was
Thought
on
it'd be
board.
great for him to leave that legacy as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I remember that, and I just thought that was such a beautiful experience to everyone just communicate and be on the same page.
Yes.
And realize that he was young.
He was young.
And they try to do everything to save his life.
Yes.
His body was still actually healthy enough to give the life to other people.
He was strong.
Yeah, real strong.
He was very strong. And down in this story, I'll explain to you why he was strong because of the recipient. So we'll get into that later.
So yeah, can you go ahead and explain a little bit about the donation process? Because a lot of people don't know it's a process. Some people think, when someone's an organ donor, it's done like in 2 hours or 3 hours.
Right.
And it was a couple of days process for you.
It was.
And we stayed in communication.
Yes, we
We've
did.
always stayed in communication ever since then.
Absolutely.
But can you explain sort of the process and how that was for you?
So the process, for what I can remember, they didn't call it donating. They called it harvesting. They stayed in contact with me. They every move when it came to my brother's body, they would tell me, Mr. Adams, we're moving, and it made me feel comfortable because of the way they would address him. Your little brother, Mr. Lee Adams, and it hurt it because of the fact he wasn't here no more.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to be moving his body, and they didn't tell me the location, but they told me the city.
Yes.
And I would get calls at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We're just now finishing harvesting.
Yeah.
And your brother's in good hands. Yeah. I'm like, okay, thank you, I appreciate it. We'll be calling you back when we do another procedure. Yeah. So that's how it went. And like I said, by then I already had accepted it, and that process was touching. Okay. And as long as physically his body was here, even though he was gone, that was warm and comforting to me too, because that right there is my brother. That was my baby.
Yeah.
So that's how the process went, and they would just let me know that they were harvesting, and they would call me every time they did the process. Yeah. So I was comfortable with that, and that you would stay in contact with me, and that helped out a lot. Yeah. And it wasn't. I didn't feel like it was cruel or anything about it, because you know how the process goes. And
thank you.
And I just went along with it and basically that's basically what the process was. So every time that they would have a procedure, they would contact me.
Yeah.
And let me know. And even at the end, when they were through, the coroner's office called me as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was very nice. She was upbeat, and it made, because I remember I was getting off work and I was driving down the hill, and I got a phone call, and it was a 408 number, because he was in the coroner's office in Santa Clara.
Oh yeah.
They said, well, we received your brother's remains, his body, and everything's well, Mr. Adams, are you okay? And I'm like, yes. So everybody was very, very supportive. So that was the process. It was just a matter of when they would harvest, which is the procedure. Yeah. They would call and let me know, and I would call my sister. So I called my sister. I said, her name is Lynn. I said, Lynn, big sis, they talking about they harvest. She said, that's what they do, little bro. It's called harvesting. I said,
procurement.
Yeah.
We call it procurement sometimes too.
Okay, right, but they were telling me harvest.
Okay.
So I was like, she said, yeah, they doing harvest. I'm like, okay, all right. I'll be able to go back, because I'm like my father in a lot of ways, but she's more firm and tougher. So she know how to check me. That's what they doing, little bro. Just hang in there. I said, okay. Yeah. And so that's how that went. I didn't feel. I can say that I didn't feel any bad vibes about it. Okay, good. I was totally comfortable with it.
And I'm thank you for sharing that, because I definitely you got out the point that you didn't feel neglected.
Correct.
You didn't feel like just left out. You didn't feel like, thank you. We have your brother's gifts, and bye.
Goodbye. Yeah, no stretch of the imagination. I felt like I was part of the journey.
Right.
No doubt about it. The people that was harvesting, or what did you call it?
Yeah, procure.
Yeah. They took me right along with the journey. Yeah. I felt like I was there.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that, because the industry and what our practice is do as best as possible. That's our best practice.
Right.
To include families. walk them through the process, hold their hand, make sure
Right.
they don't feel alone, make sure they feel, informed, educated, and make them feel
Right.
they're just not neglected.
Exactly. Like we're being used, because that's how some
Exactly,
people
not being
feel.
used. Exactly, not being used.
No, I
So
didn't feel that
thank
at
you for
all.
sharing that, and
Sure.
appreciate you saying that.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
And I remember, the hospital staff. We see a lot of death and dying, of course, when
Correct.
it comes to the organ donation. But there's always something a little bit, really touching about when people actually commit suicide.
Yes,
Yeah,
especially young.
Especially young people, and when that happens, people in the healthcare industry are touched in a very significant way.
Correct. I understand.
And so we're super hypersensitive,
Got it.
and I remember being hypersensitive as well.
Right.
To you,
Right.
knowing how your brother passed away committing suicide.
Sure.
And so it's different when someone actually is older and they're about to pass away, and they pass away from maybe a head bleed, an
Right.
aneurysm, or
Right.
they have a heart attack, and then they have no oxygen to their brain because So
Exactly.
those are a little bit different. Sometimes
Right.
all deaths are very difficult to
Absolutely. To process and accept.
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
Right.
But the deaths with suicide are very, very challenging for
Yes.
most people.
Yes.
Especially with young people. But
Yep.
any suicide is just really, really
Yeah.
a tough thing. And so
Of course.
I remember wanting to be super sensitive.
Right. Absolutely.
To you,
No. You were.
about
and
that. And,
You were.
yeah. So
Very
yeah.
supportive.
Thank you. And so we talked about the fact that you had just mentioned that you had a chance to actually get to know about the gifts that your brother was able to give to other people.
Exactly.
Can you touch on how did that make you feel, knowing that your brother actually gave these gifts of life to other people?
The first thing, because I received a letter,
Okay.
and the letter has stated, I think he helped out 6 or 7 people within a few days.
Yeah.
I felt like I did the right thing. That was the first, because you kind of sketchy
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
Even though I was comfortable with you, with the staff I had met and everything, they sent me a letter, and I was like, wow. And then when they told me about the heart transplant, I was like, really?
Yeah.
Because I had never been through the process.
Yeah. No.
And I want to say to the people that I hope no one has to go through the process, but death is part of life.
Yeah.
But when they said that to me, I was like, I made the right decision. And I smiled. I cried. I didn't feel cheated because, we talking about emotions.
Yeah.
Deep emotions,
Right.
especially if you care.
Right.
And mine is a double whammy because my father committed suicide, and then my younger brother committed suicide.
Yeah.
So I was happy when I received it, and I read it over like 3 or 4 times. So I called my sister. I said, Lynn, he benefited. He saved some lives. Because I think I didn't just donate organs. I want to say that I also donated some skin. Some tissue.
Yeah.
That's their better way to put it.
Yeah.
And he saved some a few burn victims, and some other people got some other organs and other tissues and everything. And
Yeah.
I was very, 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 very happy about that. However, I did have a mixed emotion. I'm like, but my brother's gone.
Yeah.
So that always comes back.
Right.
But you have to get to a point in your life, and I tell people now, and I'm not going to get off subject, but grieving is your right.
Right.
And you should grieve the way that you want to, as long as it's not detrimental to you.
Right.
But don't let no one tell you how long and how to grieve.
Yeah.
Just as long as it's not detrimental to you, your health. And when my brother, get back on subject, when I received that letter, I was very over. As a matter of fact, that made my day. And I was able to. I spoke to him in spirit. I said, "Bro, you still here with me?" I said, "I don't know who got these organs, but it saved some people. So you reached the goal."
Right.
And I said, "Continue to rest, and I love you, baby boy." And that was it.
Wow,
So
that's
I was happy because I received the letter, and I still have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they sent it to me in a letter, and then they sent it to me in the form of a binder.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I was happy, and I took his picture, like his obituary picture, and I put it to him. I said, "Look, yep." So I was happy, but I was glad that someone else benefited from it, because the fact that it was other people out there that actually they really need that.
Yeah.
And immediately I started studying about that, and I was like, "Wow, it really benefits."
Yeah.
So I was happy about that.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, hopefully that answers the
No,
question.
it answered the
thoroughly.
question, and you actually touched on some of the key points of the need.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a huge need out there.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right about that.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
I never knew.
a lot of
you
people
can
don't
take
know.
tissue, and it helps out a burn victim that's
Yeah.
in pain because of that burn,
Yeah.
and it's embarrassing.
And it's also life saving. Some burns, you
Exactly.
have the skin grafts. It's
Exactly.
life saving as well.
Exactly.
So yeah. The other key point that you actually said that's really important, that's very important to focus on, is that you say everyone grieves differently.
Absolutely.
And there's no one's grief is the same.
No.
And I think that's important for everybody to know,
Right.
that grief is different for everybody.
Right.
And going through bereavement is different for everybody.
Exactly.
As long as it's not detrimental to yourself, which I really this is the theme of suicide, right?
Exactly.
So that was key that you actually focused on that.
Exactly.
Did you have a chance to actually meet any of the recipients?
Of course. I had a chance to meet the guy, and I have pictures of him and everything, and we still stay in contact. I had a chance to meet the guy who received my brother's
The
heart.
heart. Wow.
Yes, that right there was. I was sitting up and I was like, I would like to meet, and I would talk to people, but they was like, nah, they don't probably won't let you do that. I'm like, yeah, they probably won't, but I'm going to ask anyway. So I got in contact, and I said I would like to meet the individual who received my brother's heart. And this is the ironic part. They said he would like to meet you as well.
Wow.
That he already had made contact with them.
Uh,
And I'm like, are you serious? I said, can you make that happen? They said, I can make that happen.
yeah.
And I was like, wow. So it was another adrenaline. So this right here is part of my grieving process.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because I can tell you now, and I'm not saying I'm probably one of thousands. I didn't just lose one. I lost two to suicide.
Yes.
So this was definitely part of the grieving process.
Mm-hmm.
So what it did, it kept me balanced because of the fact that I had something to look forward to,
Yeah.
not something to just dwell off of.
Yeah.
And like I said, I had to get to the point of accepting that he's gone. So they said, we're going to set it up. And the process did not take long. It started moving. Well, listen, they sent me a letter of what he said. So I had a chance to meet him November 2021, maybe, or 22, I believe it was. I think it was 2022.
I think it was 22.
22. I had a chance to meet him, and I want to share a quick story about that, if you don't mind.
Yes, go for it.
The guy, his name is Catalin.
Okay.
He said, your brother, he said, I'm gonna explain to you. He said, I like jeans, but I started liking Lee jeans. I said, really? He said, yeah, I don't know why. And that's my brother's name and my father's name. He said that I have a basketball league. So he said that he would take the freeway and something would attach him to that gym every time you drive by. He don't know why. And that was the gym that I've been running my league out since 2016 or 17.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
Yep. So I had a chance to meet him. So when I first met him, they set it up. We met. This guy comes up to me and he shook my hand and he just grabbed me toward his chest because he wanted me to feel my brother's heart.
Yeah.
So I had a chance to hear my brother's heart, and as a matter of fact, he sent me a video. I had a chance to see my brother's heart.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
And my brother, I guess they had to, I don't know, sedate him or something, even though he had jumped. His heart was beating fast.
Yeah.
And it still does to this day. So it's some words, I can't remember what the words are, but they use some words where it's over in terms of usage, the way it beats, because my brother, he was very, very healthy, very, very strong. And I think because the excitement, the delirious excitement of him doing what he did, his heart was beating very, very fast, and it still does to this day. Still does to this day.
To the recipient.
To the recipient. He's living through I think the RPM is supposed to be at like 14, it's at 22.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and this guy is, and I didn't really realize that when you donate people's organs that um, their energy goes up because of the fact they've been lacking
Yeah.
in that area.
Yep.
And this guy's hyper. He's able to swim now, and this thing.
Yeah.
So I met him, and he calls me bro. He calls me more than I call him bro. He's in the family, but yeah, I had a chance to meet him, and that was very exciting. And I'd like to thank the individuals that was involved with making it. They know who they are.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for making that happen. So I had to, and I've developed, just like with you, I've developed a relationship with this guy as well.
Yeah, wow. One thing that's coming to mind is I cannot recall when you shared that your father also committed suicide.
Sure.
I just remember having this urge to actually keep in contact with you, keep in touch with you.
Right.
Which, you know, I don't do often.
Sure,
You know,
and I appreciate that.
Detachment.
Yes.
But there was something there, and then you shared with me, sooner or later you shared that with me, and I said, wow.
Yes.
I said, I'm just keep in touch with you, brother.
Yeah,
Make
you know,
sure.
and I appreciate that.
And I appreciate you always being open about things.
Sure.
You know, you're always open about everything, and is you know, and now, yeah, you feel like my family. You know, you're my family now.
Yes,
you
sir.
know?
No doubt about
Yeah,
that.
we're family now.
Yeah, I gave you a headache a few days ago, so I'm definitely your brother now.
yeah.
In conclusion, let me reintroduce myself again. Is Dwayne Adams. I'm from Oakland, and we were here to talk about the importance of organ donation and also about suicide prevention. My father, Lee Adams Sr., committed suicide in 1992. My youngest brother, Lee Adams Jr., committed suicide in 2017. I want to say before I go into this is that I'm not looking for any sorrow. I'm here for support. If anyone is going through a mental crisis, you should seek help. Do not feel ashamed. Reach out, family members, and seek professional help. I strongly suggest that. For individuals that's dealing with individuals that has mental health, like family members, being supportive is very, very important. And you may need to seek help as well in order to deal with it because you're not a professional. Mental health is no different from any other health issues such as diabetes, cancer. It's the same thing. It's not. It should be looked at with compassion as well. Unfortunately, some people don't seek the help they get, and they basically go off to the side and do things like commit violent acts. In the case of my brother and my father, they both took their own lives. They didn't hurt anyone. They took their own lives, and that hurt was passed on to me. And it's not to blame them, but it's a fact. I'm rambling a little bit, but I'm trying to touch on all bases. The people that survive it, we're here left with the hurt that they had. It's passed on to us. So, as I said earlier, grieve the way you have to grieve, get through it, and learn to live with it because you'll never forget about it. In terms of, like I said, dealing with an individual that has mental health, you have to look at it with some type of compassion and approach it in a different way than you would approach it to an individual that's in a different state of mind. Seek help with them, support them, let them know you're there, and you can't take on all the weight because it's nothing that you can really do. If a person is bent on committing suicide, then that's what they're going to do, unfortunately. But if you give it all your all, that's all you can do. So, like I said, I'm not looking for any sympathy or anything like that. We're just here to help. I want to just give a quick story about my father. My father was an aircraft mechanic. He put all his kids through school. We went to private school and high school, and he put my sister through college. My father was in the Air Force. He was an avid golf player. He was the chairman of the Birdcage Golf Group. He had a situation where I think my father, him coming from the old school, he suppressed a lot of what he dealt with, whether it was racism, marital problems, just day-to-day life. And he ended up in a situation that, and I'll be blunt about it, he got caught driving while he was intoxicated. They took his license from him, and maybe 5-6 months later, he couldn't take it. He committed suicide. And I'll be blunt about the way that he committed suicide. He shot himself with a 20 gauge. That was tough for me because that was my father, of course. Some years later, in 2017, my younger brother, he jumped from, they said it was 40, it was more like 60 feet from a ledge, and he ended up with brain trauma. And he was on life support. So I was put in a situation where I've never had a family member on life support, and I've never been in a position where I was the one who had to make the decision to take him off life support. But because of the traumatic injuries, there was no way that they saved him. So I had to make the decision of taking him off the life support, and I had to make the decision of donating his organs, which was brand new to me as well. The benefit of donating my brother's organs has helped other people live. And as we spoke earlier, the person who received my brother's heart, I had a chance to meet him, and he's living proof of that. Donating organs, it does help. So the situations were two different situations with my father and my brother. My father was more of a depression. My brother was more of mental health. So I'm just here, just to say, we have to look at it a little bit more compassion. And I feel that the individuals that's going through it, you have to know that there's other people out there. It might be strangers that's going to understand your situation, and if they're seeking to help you out, take it, because ending your life is not the answer. So, like I said, I'm not here for no sympathy. I just think that we're all in this together, no matter how we look at it. And when you see another person that's maybe on drugs or homeless, or maybe that's abusing alcohol, there could be a mental issue behind it, and you have to look at it with compassion without losing yourself as well. So, thank you.